That's right, everybody. It's another wrestling episode of Tap Outs and Touchdowns. It's your guy, Bully Rye, and as always, the co-host of the wrestling shows, PJ Steven. PJ, how you doing today, bud?
That's right, baby, and I am ready. We are going to have a fantastic episode. We are talking about some killer topics from 1997, as well as we got a few current things that we're talking about that I'm pretty stoked for. This is a really last-minute thing, you and I going live today. We didn't know if it was going to happen, so I'm stoked that it did happen, and I'm so excited that I forgot to introduce. Oh, yeah. Some Santa Fe Brewing beer from all the way here in New Mexico. Oh, you gotta love it.
Yeah. Full disclosure, I got so I had a golf trip last weekend. About 12 of us went out to a small town in Georgia in a cabin out in the woods that if Aaron comes in the stream, he's gonna probably make fun of me. The driveway up to this cabin was filled with gravel, rocks, until you got to the pavement at the top of this hill. I don't have a four-wheel drive car. I drive an SUV, but it doesn't have four-wheel drive. And as I get to that flat concrete at the top of this hill, I could feel my car starting to slide backwards. Ooh. So I hit the gas and I could feel my tires spinning. I got just enough traction to get to the top of this hill. I got parked. I told him and everybody else there that when we go to the golf courses, y'all can drive because I'm not taking that chance again. And sure enough, that night, we had a group, about 3 or 4 guys, go to the store, which was like an hour away because that's where we were. And on the way back, they didn't make it up the hill. They had to dig a trench in the rocks in order to make it up the hill. That was the start of my weekend. Now, granted, it was a very fun, long weekend. Partook in a few too many adults-oriented activities. And so when you said we almost didn't make it today, listen, I'm tired, man. It was a fun weekend, but it was a long week. You've had those like vacations where like now you need a vacation from your vacation.
From your vacation, yeah, you need a vacation from your vacation. I feel like that every time the wife and I go to Disney World, which is some first world problem. White people like complain. I'm with you, but like every time I'm just like, man, I'm really tired from doing nothing or walking around eating all day. You know.
Well, the problem is, and again, it's going to sound like, I don't want to, again, first world problems for sure. But like when you have to get up first thing in the morning on a Monday to work after you've been gone, right? Yeah. It's just, it's not something easy to do. So when we're sort of unprepared to not really unprepared, because we knew what we were going to talk about today, right? But when you come in sort of like, oh, wait, we're going live today. We got some stuff to talk about. It's one of those things that sometimes you just got to push through and push through in the idea of keeping it consistent. And we've gone live the last 2 weeks, so let's make it 3 in a row. So far, I think we were a little early. Maybe some people are watching Monday Night Raw tonight. We are live here at 8 p.m. Eastern time. If you happen to join the stream, make sure you come in, leave a comment. We'll read it on the air at Tap Outs and TDs on Twitter. Search the YouTube channel, obviously, Tap Outs and Touchdowns, and then Facebook.com/Tap Outs and Touchdowns. PJ, let's get right into it. We've got some news and notes here in the world of pro wrestling. Something that I removed from our format, PJ, but I wanted to talk about it because there's a wrestling group that we have been involved in. As PJ Steven channels his inner Steve Mongo McMichael to bring his dog on set with him.
Except I'm a better wrestler.
Yeah, you're probably a better wrestler. Nevertheless, something I removed from our format was NXT's Great American Bash that both of us forgot about taking place over the weekend. But the one thing of note in our new wrestling page, and of course I'm going to butcher it already, the wrestling movement on Facebook. Michael Davis of Drop the Mic has gone out and said that it is already time to cut ties with Gable Steveson as his overreaction Monday take that he couldn't get over in a match with Baron Corbin, that it's over before it started with Gable Steveson, I should say. PJ, please join me in telling Michael that he needs to take a long walk off a short pier.
Well, I've been taking a break a lot from social media, wrestling pages. It's no one's fault but my own, really. I just need a break, between the move in between I had other things going on. I just wasn't really into it right now. That being said, I did see that post and I did see his debut, and it just reminded me of the Rock Survivor Series debut. I mean, he got booed out of the building the same way, and I think the Rock did okay for himself.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I just
I,
watched.
I think judging a couple minutes of a match or an entrance and then saying, "Well, he's done," from one boo, I think just goes to show how one-dimensional and simple-minded some wrestling fans are, and that's not an insult. A lot of us are like that, and it's because of social media, and it's because of our opinions are so negative towards anybody. And his point was that we're trying to take Gable Stevenson seriously, so that's why the boos are so bad. When I mentioned The Rock, he said, "Well, The Rock came out with a goofy haircut," and I said, "Well, so did Umaga." And the whole comment section is there. And I said, "Well,
Yeah.
so did Umaga. Came out with a silly haircut and got over. I don't know why you're bringing haircuts into it. My hair doesn't look that great, and I get over like Rover." So I don't get that. I don't understand judging a man's entire career off 3 minutes. I just don't. I mean, like, yeah, it could have been a better debut, but again, I think if social media were around in '96 and they were showing pictures of The Rock and he came out, he'd get booed the same way.
I mean,
I
listen,
I guarantee he would get booed the same way.
even John Cena has gone on record to say that he hated he didn't hate, he did not like the way his debut match with Kurt Angle went down. He said there's a lot of things he wished he could have done differently. That he was watching the crowd, like instead of watching the match and seeing if the moves were okay, he was watching the reaction that he wasn't getting from the crowd, and so that's what he judged it by. Gable Stevenson got a reaction; it just wasn't a positive one.
Well,
So,
and our friend Andre made a good point by saying, um, the worst reaction is no reaction. He's not dead in the water because he got a reaction. If
no,
you
I'm
hear
with you.
if you hear nothing, then you're done. But if you hear reaction, they're wasting their breath on you, which means that they got something to say to you, whether it's good or bad, whatever.
No, I'm right there with you. PJ, as I'm trying to share this to make sure everybody that can see this live stream. Um, Again, Great American Bash took place over the weekend. Some stuff happened, some stuff didn't happen. Go out and watch it if you want. I think we're going to catch it here sometime this week. But
Mhm.
something also took place over the weekend, and I'm going to go out of order here again. First and foremost, there was a tag team championship match over on AEW Collision as FTR defended against the team of MJF and Adam Cole. Um, MJF and Adam Cole would go on to lose the match. MJF on, I believe, Rampage or Dynamite told Adam Cole that regardless of the outcome, that he would grant Adam Cole a rematch for the AEW World Championship. Uh, PJ, what do you make of this MJF Adam Cole angle that's been playing out the last few weeks?
I kind of want to hate it because they as AEW were so quick to be like, we're pro wrestling, we're not sports entertainment. We're not sports entertainment, but this is kind of sports entertainment. I mean, it really is, and it's entertaining, and they're doing a good job. But I think it's fun. I think it's fun. I think a lot of people are missing their big MJF heel, but it also goes to show the variety and the range of the MJF character and him as a wrestler, that he can do these babyface and these heel turns. Not turn per se, but you know what I'm getting at. I like it.
Yeah, listen, I love the dynamic between these two. Obviously, you're going to see some stuff go down with Roderick Strong at some point because he's sort of engulfed himself in this angle. I wonder if they're going to make Adam Cole the heel out of this, because MJF has been a heel since he debuted in MJF or in AEW, excuse me. He is sort of teased.
That sounds like a Warrior promo. I've been the Warrior since I debuted inside the Warrior.
Yeah. But no, like they've sort of teased the possibility of him going babyface, but I don't see MJF having a long stint as a babyface. So it'll be fun to see how this plays out. Some story to be told here between MJF and Adam Cole.
Yeah.
But the other big news coming out of AEW, I don't know if you call it big news, but on Collision last weekend, CM Punk debuted, or should say re-debuted, an AEW World Championship that he, quote unquote, never lost. And there is a giant black X through this championship, a la the NWO spray painted belt, a la the X through the E in AEW, which was sort of a unique, I don't know what you would call it, a description of how it was drawn on the title. But CM Punk is going to be debuting his real AEW World Title against absolute Ricky Starks. PJ, I can already tell what's coming because I know you think that the belts are just what's the word you call them?
Belts are props.
Props, yeah, belts are nothing but props. But
props. I listen. Let me tell you something. I think it's a catch-22 because, like, if you're straight edge, like, cool, man. Like, you don't drink, you don't smoke, awesome, good for you, man. That makes you feel good, whatever. but I mean, that's like me winning a trophy and then like putting an X on it, going like, "Don't forget, I'm straight edge, boys." I mean, that's so lame.
See, I
think it's lame. I think it's lame. I don't care about defacing the prop, by the way. I don't care about that. I think, whatever. But I wish he would have done it to be like an anti-AEW guy or something. Like, that's why he put the X on it instead of being like, nah, man, straight edge. I don't like that. I think it's weird. And
I'm more frustrated by the fact that we're going back to this defending 2 world titles over here.
Yeah.
If you remember, was it Moxley that won the interim title that then CM Punk had to come back and Moxley took the interim title off. It seems lazy. Does it not?
I know. I totally agree.
Where does this go?
It goes to obviously what we're gonna get to. We're gonna get to Razor and Shawn. Who's the true Intercontinental Champion? Who's the true AEW World Champion? That's what we're gonna get to.
We've already done that in AEW once.
Well, we're gonna do it again.
Listen.
I'm not saying it's cool, but that's definitely what. Are you wearing a Razor Shawn shirt?
No, it's a WWE Slam shirt I got from SummerSlam. The 8-bit Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero. No, I don't know how long they can draw this out because it felt like they were going to draw it out before, and they all of a sudden abruptly just did it on an episode of Dynamite. How long can they draw this out? Because he'd already cut the promo about is CM Punk going to wrestle in Wembley Stadium, et cetera, et cetera. Like, how long are they going to draw it out this time?
Not long. It can't be long because a lot of people are already bored with it anyway.
My feelings. I'm bored with CM Punk in general. He's going to be in town this weekend, and he's the primary reason why I'm weighing absolutely not going versus, maybe I'll go.
Dude, just go so you can hear Cult of Personality. Like,
I've heard it before.
Yeah, but hear it again and then go get a snack while he's wrestling.
I can listen to Cult of Personality. I can pull up my phone and listen to Cult of Personality if I wanted to. I don't.
But in a big room like that, it's fun.
Nah, I don't know. I don't care. I know that there are still tickets available for AEW Collision on Saturday at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena. That's a free plug because I clearly don't make any money from Bon Secours or AEW for promoting that show. But the fact that it's in my backyard, if anybody wants to make the trip, hit me up. Maybe I'll decide to go, considering that it happens to take place the same night as this year's WWE SummerSlam. Which is our next topic before we get into your time machine once again. PJ, there are some matches slated for SummerSlam this year. And a quick reminder, if you're watching the show live, we've got a few viewers over on the Facebook page. Make sure you leave a comment below so that we can read your comment on the air and talk about whatever point you'd like to make. But as I was saying,
SummerSlam, we love the audience participation. It's super fun. I really get tired of just talking to Fritz. So if we could,
listen. In fairness, we did not give the people a lot of time to prepare.
It's a good point.
So we may just be doing this live and getting some people popping in and out. If you happen to pop in and out, leave a comment. We'll read it on the air and thank you for being here. SummerSlam 2023. There are 8 matches listed.
I haven't even seen a match for SummerSlam, so this is all new to me. So I'm kind of
excited. Oh, great. So I sort of get to ask you about your thoughts. First matchup listed, and I'm reading straight from Wikipedia, so you know it has to be right.
Okay.
Singles match between Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar as of uh, today, when we're recording on July the 31st, before Monday Night Raw. There was no stipulation added to this match, but we finally get the rubber match. Cody Rhodes, Brock Lesnar. Who do you got, and are you excited to watch this match at all?
I'm not excited, but probably Cody.
Yeah, I think Cody goes over. Eventually, Cody is going to go on, and he's again. I still think he's the one to dethrone Roman Reigns at WrestleMania.
I was just going to ask you that. Yeah.
So this is just one of those things that he needs to do. I'm curious to see where they go from here, because there has been rumored, as we talked about last week on the show, with the potential return of both Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt here on the show. There's a recent picture of Bray Wyatt looking in shape as he was when he first came out as the Firefly Funhouse character, looking in really good shape again. There's rumors that he could be setting up an angle with Cody Rhodes here, considering that they just dropped his angle with Bobby Lashley. But also we've seen it full circle again with I can't think of the name of their stable, when the one that Randy Orton led with Legacy with Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase. So we'll see what happens from there. Next up that they've got listed here, the World Heavyweight Championship is on the line as Seth Rollins once again defends against Finn Balor. Obviously, Damian Priest lying in wait with the Money in the Bank contract. PJ, are you excited about this match? Who you got going over here for the World Heavyweight Championship?
Part of me thinks Finn will finally do it because they want to maybe unify belts within Judgment Day. I think that would be pretty cool. But I can see Rollins going over again too. You know, I think the match will be great though.
Yeah, I think
those are two really, 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 really great talents.
I think Rollins goes over. I hate to say that, but I think we get some more Gaga with Damian Priest here, and it's going to continue to add some dissension within the Judgment Day, which is terrible because the rumors are that Judgment Day is the successing storyline to the Bloodline. So interesting to see where we're going on from there. Moving on to the next matchup listed, again, all from Wikipedia here. A triple threat match for the WWE Women's Championship. Asuka defending against both Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair. I don't want to see Charlotte win yet again. But I don't think it would make sense if Bianca took it off Asuka here. What do you say?
I think Asuka keeps the belt.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm excited for the match.
I think
it's been a while. It's been a while since we got a good triple threat women's match. The last one I can really distinctly remember was Manamania when Becky Lynch won in the triple threat match with Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair.
We were there.
That Ronda screwed up the finish, bringing up the next match, Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler. PJ, I mean, I
don't care. I hope Shayna squashes her. Let's get out of here.
I used to have a segment or a match on the card of every pay-per-view that I used to review called the Piss Break Opportunity, the PBO, if you remember.
I do remember the PBO. We've been doing this a long time.
The PBO. Yeah, that's my PBO for this card. We've also got another singles match that I don't think is going to be a PBO, but it's a match that I really don't care about. Ricochet taking on Logan Paul.
Don't care.
Yeah.
I think it'll be really athletic, and I think it'll be a sight to see, but I don't care.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of those as the wrestling. What's the word I'm looking for? The old school guys, the ones stuck in their ways. This is going to be one of those flippy gymnast matches.
Oh yeah,
that they don't like. You've also got the Intercontinental Championship on the line, a singles match. Gunther taking on Drew McIntyre. This one should be a barn burner, as they say.
Should be great.
Rumors are that Drew McIntyre still has not signed a new contract. Therefore, I don't see Gunther losing the title here. What say you?
No way Gunther's losing. No way Gunther's losing.
I went a little out of order here. Something that was announced on SmackDown, full disclosure, being out of town, I didn't see it. SummerSlam Battle Royal. Are they going overboard with the Battle Royals?
I feel like
go ahead.
Well, I just think they're trying to get anyone that they can on the card, give them a payday. I don't love it, but I get it.
I just feel like it's, again, we talked about the AEW real title being lazy. The SummerSlam Battle Royal is lazy to me. You mean to tell me, with as many creative minds as they have working in WWE, they can't find a better way to get a guy like LA Knight, who is the hottest guy arguably on the roster right now, on the card without putting him in a Royal Rumble? It
No,
just
they
doesn't
can't.
make sense to me.
No, they can't.
Next up, I'd probably be the main event here, the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship, and recognition as Tribal Chief, as listed on one of the stipulations. Roman Reigns taking on Jey Uso. I'm really excited about this match. My prediction is that Jimmy Uso returns and costs Jey Uso the championship, and essentially turns on Jimmy Uso, or a Jey Uso, I should say, building up to a potential Survivor Series match with Jey Uso taking on Jimmy Uso.
I could dig that.
Because I know it was rumored before WrestleMania that they would like to see each other wrestle one-on-one at WrestleMania. Survivor Series is, to me, one of your next best gigs. So
I think, if WWE had any balls, they'd put it on Jey.
Jey got the win, man. He's already got the pin over Roman. He doesn't need the title. And they're not going to give him the title.
I know they're not. I'm just saying, if they had balls, they would.
Let me ask you a question. What would be more surprising? Jinder Mahal beating Randy Orton for the world title. Sheamus, prior to his big push, beating John Cena in a tables match to win the world title, or Jey Uso knocking off Roman Reigns here? Which of those three would be more surprising?
Jey Uso, specifically for storyline, and the way they have built up Roman to be this Superman. And I know you mentioned Cena too, but I still say Jey.
I'm right there with you. SummerSlam takes place this Saturday on Peacock. It will be essentially going head-to-head with AEW Collision. So I guess it's your choice. Do you want to go watch Collision live in Greenville, or do you want to watch SummerSlam from home at the comfort of your couch with your popcorn or non-$20 concession foods?
Can I have popcorn and all that and just watch the G1?
You could potentially do that. We're going to get to the G1 in the curtain call, but we're going to take our first commercial break. When we come back from the commercial, we're going to get into the break it down. We're going back to PJ Stevens' Time Machine, talking WWF 1997. But for the time being, let's talk to our first sponsor, and that's Carolina Business Equipment. With offices in Charleston, Greenville, Columbia, and Florence, Carolina Business Equipment can supply your copiers, computers, and printers anywhere in the state of South Carolina. Call my best friend Aaron Thompson at 843-452-8761 for a quote today, and make sure you tell him that Ryan from Tap House and Touchdown sent you. Carolina Business Equipment, you worry about your business, let us handle your technology. PJ, let's get right into it. Before we do, we have our first comment of the evening. I'm not sure what Andre says about Nope. I'm thinking he's talking about Jey Uso.
Oh, he's talking about Roman keeping that belt. I mean, yeah, Andre. I've had many dinners with Andre. I've hung out with Andre a lot. Andre's. I welcome Andre into my house multiple times. I miss him. And anytime Roman's on that TV, his eyes are glued to that TV. He knows that his boy is going over. He did walk into my house one time with a John Cena belt, and I had to get him out of my house. Other than that,
listen,
I'm always welcome over.
First and foremost, Andre, thanks for joining the show. It might be the first time you've been here with us. But yeah, I do remember how absolutely just I don't know how to say this politely, how much of a fan he was of Roman Reigns, and I guess before that, John Cena. So a huge wrestling fan. Thanks for being on the show, Andre. Andre, hopefully you'll enjoy. He's giving us a laugh reaction on Facebook, I'm assuming, because he knows how much of a mark he is. He's hilarious.
Well, it's one of those things where everyone, a lot of people, when the bloodline kept coming up and Roman really started to go over, hell, even when he beat Taker, people started becoming a fan. But Andre had been saying since Shield that Roman was the guy. So I got to give props to him that he stuck in his, he stuck in.
He held to his guns.
Track. Yeah, a lot of people, did not. oh, Roman sucks, he can't wrestle, and all of a sudden, like, Roman, man, he's the guy. Whereas Andre was like, I've been saying that, I've been that with a lot of guys. I've been like that with a lot. Listen to you. I've been like that with a lot of guys, man.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah. Hey, the West changes you, man.
Yeah, you're out west, man. You're out in the desert, man. You don't
wild west, man.
Oh yeah, let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about the sand out here. Yeah, you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know what kind of sand is out here in the desert, brother. All right,
you get fucking like a monkey when they knock on your back door. I tell you, boy.
Jeez,
get out of here. A lot of guys, but no, I've said that about a lot of guys. I've said that about a lot of guys in 1997, and that's what we're going to get to right now when we jump right back into WWF 1997.
Thanks for joining us, Andre.
Yeah, appreciate you, Andre.
Appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, you,
let's try to get back to some format here.
Yeah.
And get into PJ's time machine over here. WWF 1997. We're going to be talking late April to June of 1997. You recall?
Yes, so
February to late April, one last show.
Yeah, so we're going to get right out late April all the way into actually we're going to do the go home edition of Raw because it's very important. Right before, I believe we're going to do right before Canadian Stampede. So we're going to go all the way to June 30th, which is really cool. We're going to cover a lot of great stuff, and we don't have a lot of time to do it, so I'm going to jump right into it. So last time we came off of it was April 20th, which was the go-home edition before, or excuse me, not 20th, April 14th, which is the go-home edition before Revenge of the Taker, which happened April 20th. April 14th, if you remember, happened in South Africa. Not a whole lot of go-home edition stuff for that pay-per-view because it was basically a glorified house show. Great show, though. So we're going to jump right into Revenge of the Taker. If you guys remember, we kind of went past this pay-per-view in our last episode, but it's because I wanted to talk about all this all at once because I really wanted to cover Taker's title run all the way up to SummerSlam, which we will get to in next episodes. We're going to cover a lot of Taker's ending rivalry, but for now, ending rivalry with Mankind. We're going to talk a lot about Paul Bearer having a secret about The Undertaker, and boy, howdy, is it not a secret. So we're going to jump right into it. Revenge of the Taker, In Your House 14. This took place April 20th. 1997, of course, in Rochester, New York, which is great. We had about 12,000 people. Taglines: New Millennium of Darkness and the Revenge of Darkness, final part. Just so dramatic. I love it. The big feud, of course, is Undertaker and Mankind. Paul Bearer is still managing Mankind at this point. We're going to go all the way back to the April 1st, 1996 edition, where Taker faced Justin Bradshaw in the main event, where Mankind would interfere in his debut and attack Undertaker, which... Is there a better way to debut than attacking, the big man on top? Not on top at that point, but he was the yardstick still at that point in 96, right?
Here's a better question. Did you think, looking at this version of Justin Hawk Bradshaw, that he would ever be the wrestling god and the greatest champion in SmackDown history? I think that's a better question to ask.
I agree. But I'm saying,
I'm with you. No, I'm with you. Like, you want to be on top, you got to take out the king.
Well, look at everyone that they paired him with when they debut. So DDP debuts, they put him right with the Undertaker. Nathan Jones debuts, they put him right with Taker. Great Khali, I'm pretty sure his first big rivalry was the Undertaker. They obviously they trust Taker, but put him with the big man, put him with the new guy, see how he goes. When Mankind's going to be interfering and attacking the Undertaker, we're going to fast forward to King of the Ring, where Mankind is going to defeat Undertaker in their first encounter. One of my favorite matches, which Frick hated, but I love, was at SummerSlam, where Mankind invented the Boiler Room Brawl match.
We covered that on the show.
Took place in the archives yet 1996, and that's a big deal because not only did Mankind win, but Undertaker's manager, Paul Bearer, betrayed The Undertaker, which was a huge deal. After that, we get the Buried Alive match, the first ever Buried Alive match where The Undertaker won, burying Mankind. But then, of course, we get the Mankind actually burying The Undertaker, and we get the hand coming out with the tombstone, and if you look a little bit to my right, you see a nice little poster from our boys at Mondo, who made that poster for the Buried Alive 1996, The Taker and Mankind, which I really enjoyed.
For those of you watching the show live or on YouTube, one way or the other, you can see that. If you're listening to the podcast, you're just gonna have to go find the video somewhere on social media.
You're gonna have to imagine, brah. They faced in another just a one fall match in Survivor Series that Taker went over with. But the March 31st edition of Raw, Bear asked WWF champion to forgive him and take him back as a manager. Undertaker would refuse. Mankind would come out and attack the Undertaker. And this led to a match between Undertaker and Mankind. And, of course, right here, Revenge of the Taker. So this is supposed to be, and it won't be, but this is supposed to be the big
finale.
Culmination, yeah, I guess finale culmination of this big rivalry that has been Undertaker and Mankind. Do you think that is that the best rivalry in WWF history with two gimmicked wrestlers? Because you can say the greatest rivalry is Austin McMahon. Austin didn't. That's not a gimmick. That was him for a while. Vince, you could argue. Brett and Shawn, that was them. Rock and Austin, that was pretty much them. But as a gimmick, Mankind and Taker, is there a better one?
That's a good question. I think you got to go Taker Kane.
Oh, yes, and we'll get there too.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, I don't think you're going to be able now. The Kane debut that we'll get to later on is probably the single greatest debut in WWE history. That includes the likes of Chris Jericho, AJ Styles at the Royal Rumble.
And
plenty of guys.
Oh my God, we're gonna get into the Kane debut, and even we're gonna talk about it a little bit with the whispers here. In 97.
But it's hard to argue that as someone given the gimmick that Mankind was given, to thrust him into a rivalry with the Undertaker was one of the best done things they could have done. Andre chiming back in again. He still thinks it's Taker versus Kane because it lasted so long. You're right; it lasted years.
That is true.
They went from
longevity.
Longevity. They went from being partners and brothers again back to rivals to partners, etc. So yeah, I think longevity plays a part in that. But Mankind Undertaker's got to be up there.
Some of the things that happened in this match is we haven't really talked about this, but in mid 96 and early 96, the Honky Tonk Man played a big part in, 97 rather. The Honky Tonk Man played a big part in early 97 to mid 97, trying to find the perfect Intercontinental Champion, or trying to find someone who can take his helm, someone who he can make into his own. And first it was Billy Gunn, then he tried
Rockabilly, baby.
Yeah, Rockabilly, baby.
Rockabilly.
So now we have a match between Jesse James and Rockabilly. And boy, with I don't know what those two are up to now, but I think they ended up being a tag team or something. I don't know if they had any success. We'll find out about that later on in 97. Legion of Doom is going to take on Owen Hart and British Bulldog, and they're actually going to beat them by disqualification when Bret Hart comes out and beats up the ref. What are you doing, Bret? Anyway, so we really get the Hart Foundation really becoming that heel tag team now. That's in full swing, which I love. Savio Vega with the Nation Domination is going to defeat Rocky Maivia by countout for the Intercontinental Champion. So of course Rocky keeps your IC belt. Jesse James is going to defeat Rockabilly in a very sweet 6-minute match. It shouldn't have got any longer than that with Honky Tonk Man. Then we're going to get to the big match for the WWF Champion. The Undertaker is going to defeat Mankind for the WWF Champion, and it is a hell of a match. It's not as great as some of their other matches. To me, it's not as great as the Boiler Room Brawl match. It's still a really good one. Undertaker's going to hit Mankind with the Tombstone Pile Driver. He's going to pin him to retain the belt. He's going to chase Mankind, or he's going to chase Paul Bearer right out of the arena. But here's the thing. Here's the big thing. To me, this is the first indication of fire and Kane and something happened with fire with the Undertaker's family and all this, because we get a fireball, and it's a failed fireball, but it's a fireball. Mankind is supposed to throw a fireball in the Undertaker's face. Undertaker gets Impatient because it's not working, he grabs the paper and just puts the fireball to Paul Bearer's face. And it's super fun and it's ridiculous. But the crowd pops and they're probably they're hating it
Which came
backstage.
first? Which fireball came first? This or the Warrior Hogan?
Oh, this Warrior Hogan. Oh, well, wait a minute. Halloween Havoc '98. No, that was yeah. So Warrior Hogan came. Halloween Havoc '98. This came first, and the Hogan Warrior one was worse.
Oh, much worse. Much worse.
Fireball to the mat. In the words of Bruce Pritchard, which I love. The main event of this
listen.
match,
You would think that wrestlers would stop using the fireball, and then Jericho brought it back, but he actually made it work.
Yeah, no, Vince loves it. What if we throw a fireball because it's fire? And then they get later on down the road, and they're going to use a lot of fire. I mean, we're going to get to the point, guys, in late '97, early '98, leading up to Mania 14. Where Kane is just sitting cameramen on fire, and Undertaker is sitting parts of the ring on fire, and they're having a fire off. I mean, it's
let me ask you a question. First of all, it's got to be butane, like butane fuel for all these fires, right? They're not using gasoline because I think gas fires are harder to put out. What do you think their butane and fire budget was? It was from 97 to like 98, 99.
$57,876.
Sounds like a right number. I mean, that sounds pretty balls inaccurate, if you ask me.
Yeah. But guys, we are not done with Revenge of the Taker. We have one more match, and it's the main event. It's going to be Stone Cold and Bret Hart, and this is a singles match to determine the number one contender for the WWF champion. Super fun here. The main event. Bulldog's going to do a run-in. He's going to hit Austin with a steel chair. So, of course, Austin's going to win by disqualification. But Bret Owen and Bulldog are going to all continue and beat up on Austin. Bret's going to try and hit Austin with the ring bell. Austin's going to block the bell and hit Austin. Austin's going to hit Bret with a chair, targeting his knee, apply the sharpshooter until officials pull him off. Yeah. Bret Owen and Bulldog are going to retreat from the ring while Austin celebrated his victory. So what you've just taught the audience is that your new faction, your Hart Foundation, can be beat up by a guy who you just beat the hell out of, and then after a 21-minute match, he can still beat up all three of your guys. That's what happened.
They're more. I wouldn't say that's more so like building on how they were so vulnerable. I think it was again, the story it was telling was that Stone Cold was going to fight until the very end. And it started at WrestleMania this year where he never tapped out. He passed out, and so that's sort of that story. The gimmick, if you will, they're giving him is that he's not going to go down without a fight. So
that's fine. He didn't go down without a fight, but him being able to get up and it's not as dramatic as this, but you remember Nash and Hall out there with baseball bats, threatening your entire WCW roster and them being afraid. Then as in the WCW roster, it's like, so what you've just taught is that two guys from WWF can come over and beat every single one of your guys with bats, and they can't do a damn thing. And
yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
To me, this is just on a super, 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 super smaller scale. But it's still great. It's still fantastic wrestling, and it's such a good story. You're absolutely right. After this, Stone Cold's going to continue his feud with Hart Foundation. We're even going to get to the May 26th episode of Raw where I wrote that in my notes, but you know what? I don't want to talk about that yet. We're gonna get way, way, way ahead of ourselves, and we don't want to do that just yet. So let's continue to the night after that, which is they're back in New York, 4/21/97. So Taker's not your new champion, but he is retained as champion, and your number one contender is Stone Cold Steve Austin. Well, Stone Cold and Bret Hart are gonna have a street fight here, which is super fun. And so also this isn't a big deal, but it's Tiger Ali Singh's debut here. With 4 minutes, he's going to take on Salvatore Sinclair, I think, and that just was a match. I didn't like Tiger Ali Singh. Did you like Tiger Ali Singh? I think he was horrible.
Can I confess something to you?
Yeah.
I remember having one of the trading cards of Tiger Ali Singh, But to this day, I have no idea who he is.
I mean, he wasn't bad. I didn't like.
When I hear that name, and forgive me, but it reminds me of, and I can't think of his name, but the guy who came out in the Saudi Arabian headgear, which obviously wouldn't fly now, that Hogan ended up beating up at WrestleMania, and he was never heard from again. Like this guy in real life, like couldn't get a job because of the character he played on TV. So when I hear Tiger Ali sing, that's the thought that comes across my head. I couldn't give you one rival that he had. I couldn't give you one series of matches. Like, oh yeah, he could have been something, because I honestly, like, I can vaguely see his face in my mind, and that's about it.
We don't have to talk about him too much more. Actually, we don't have to talk about this episode too much more. We talked about this in the last episode. This is actually the episode where Brian Pillman makes his debut. And then we're going to talk about the next episode where Pillman comes out and does that nice little prayer, and we see him join the Hart Foundation. This also is the episode of Raw where I'm talking about 4/28/97, where Owen Hart wins his very first, I can't believe I'm saying this, in 1997, he wins his very first singles title, defeating Rocky Maivia for the Intercontinental Champion. That's just, it's crazy. Yeah, it's
he was never like an Intercontinental Champion when he was just the King of Hearts before he joined the Hart Foundation.
No.
Wow. That's
I researched that for a good bit too, because I was like, this can't be. Can't be right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We're gonna get to the go home edition of Monday Night Raw right before Cold Day in Hell, where we'll see Stone Cold take on Undertaker for the WWF champion. It is a great Raw here. If you get a chance, go back in the archives and Peacock and watch it. We're going to see Vader take on Goldust in a pretty decent match. Crush with the Nation Domination is going to take on three big. This is what it's in the writing. It's three biggest and baddest ghetto jobbers. I'm going to repeat that. Crush with the Nation of Domination versus three biggest and baddest ghetto jobbers.
What publication are you reading that from?
PDR Wrestling, and it's also on Wikipedia, and it's also in WWF Fandom.
I wonder what WWE has that match listed. Like, if you can go back in the archives and find like Raw results, like from WWE, what they would call those guys.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about the main event here. The European champion, David Boy Smith, is going to take on Stone Cold, and this is a fantastic way to enter Raw, and it's a fantastic match. First of all, I want to say JR mentions the update on Sid, saying that he's going to be taking it off the whole summer, as we talked about in one of the last matches here. So anyway, we're going to get naturally Owen and Angle coming out to attack Austin. Owen's going to start beating up on Stone Cold with the WWF title belt. The Legion of Doom is going to head out there to even the odds. Here comes Shawn Michaels. Now the lights go out, and it's safe to say Taker's coming to get his championship belt after Owen Hart has taken it. HBK beats up a couple of guys out of the ring using the strap. He drops the belt and leaves. Once it's just Austin and Taker, Austin picks up the belt. Undertaker's not cool with that. They end up brawling all over the ringside and a giant pull-apart brawl. It is great, and the crowd is loving it. I mean, they are so into this match, and I don't think that they would know how great of a rivalry this will be, Stone Cold and Undertaker. We're going to get a Buried Alive match with these guys later on. We're going to get a fantastic match at SummerSlam 98 with Taker and Stone Cold. It's great to see Shawn Michaels come back, too. He kicks off the 9 p.m. hour with an interview in the ring with Vince McMahon. He's going to talk about coming back to the ring for the King of the Ring and things like that. But we're not going to talk about Shawn Michaels for too much longer, because we're going to talk about A Cold Day in Hell, May 11th, 1997, In Your House 15. Great pay-per-view, and I can't wait to get into it, because we're going to get into Ken Shamrock's very first big rivalry for WWF, and that's him taking on Vader in a no-holds-barred match. And actually, he beats Vader by submission, which is great. And I can't remember if it was actually with the ankle lock or not. I think it was.
I feel like it has to have been.
I think it was an ankle lock. I want to be sure, but I'm pretty sure it was. Mankind and Rocky Maivia are going to go at it in 8 minutes, and Mankind's going to defeat Rocky Maivia by technical submission. I wonder if Mankind and Rocky Maivia would have any good matches later on down the road. What do you think?
I mean, I feel like one of them would quit before they had an opportunity to have a really good match. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so too.
I think something would happen, and someone would just, you know what, like, I'm done with this. I quit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
well, we can't do much better than this. I quit.
I quit. Yeah, why not? I quit.
Yeah,
I quit. Yeah. We also get a gauntlet match with the Nation of Domination, who's Farouk, Savio Vega, and Crush, defeating Ahmed Johnson in 13 minutes 25 seconds. Man, Ahmed Johnson. It's funny that we talk about how bad he is in the ring, but man, he's got a great body. He looks great. He can move, but it's just what do you think? What do you think held Ahmed back? Because he could cut a decent promo too. You weren't about to say cheeseburger. You weren't about to say cheese. No, what held him back in '97? Why wasn't he a main player?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. He had some injury issues and some stuff backstage where he thought that he was just as good, if not a better Stone Cold Steve Austin than he was. His ego.
Do you think he just couldn't get out of his own way?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the burgers and the fast food and the milkshakes, I'm assuming. I mean,
he's got a better body than like the Godwins in this era, and they're tag team champions.
Yeah, in the era, but you can see when he realized that he'd reached his peak during this time frame where he would win the Intercontinental title off of Goldust and eventually wouldn't hold on to the title very long. I mean, you see what happened to him. I mean, and
by the way, fast food and cheeseburgers has nothing to do with someone's ability to move up in the card. Yokozuna was a multi-time WWF champion,
but it got to a point where they thought it was unhealthy. They asked him to change it, and eventually Yokozuna died from his food addiction.
No argument. I'm just saying the amount that you eat does not play a factor.
Well, Banker Bills chimes in on the chat and wants to know if we're talking about pole matches this week.
There are no pole matches in WWE.
You mean to tell me there was no Ahmed Johnson cheeseburger on a pole match in 1997?
No, because depending on what kind of cheeseburger, I would be winning that. What's your favorite cheeseburger?
Probably bacon.
What do you mean bacon? No. From where?
Oh, from where? Oh man, that's a really hard question. That's what she said. Bill wants to know if he can climb a ladder for a briefcase. Listen, we can set it up, bud. I can come over to your house this weekend. We can set it up.
Yeah, we can dress as your little chicken mascot or whatever you were talking about last week.
My favorite burger. Culver's has an amazing burger.
I'm still a Burger King guy.
Really?
I love Burger King.
It's the cheese. The cheese doesn't melt. Like they don't.
Good. It's that fake stuff. I don't care.
Oh, it's Five Guys that has a good burger. There used to be a place. Listen, there used to be a place in the mall in Charleston. Was it Sesame? Was it
Sesame Burgers? Yeah, there's one in Park Circle.
There was also another one that had like the pretzel buns. I think King Street Grill had a pretzel burger that they would put on discount on Wednesdays when I worked at the bank across the street, and that was a tasty burger.
Now that is a tasty
burger.
You got something I can wash this down. Well, if I ever want to hear stories about Five Guys and you, I'd read your journal. But coming up next, guys, the main event of this.
PJ's about to get canceled. PJ is about to get canceled.
I might be a fucking lamb nugget, baby. The main event of Cold Day in Hell right here. The Undertaker is going to take on Stone Cold Steve Austin for the WWF champion. This match, I think they could already tell that they had terrific chemistry, these guys. But there's some gaga that held it back, in my opinion. The Hart Foundation is going to make their presence known during the main event. And at one point, when Lola Austin was about to pin, Pillman's going to reach over. He's going to ring the bell prematurely, which is very ironic to what's coming this year. When I watched that, I said, "Ooh, that's not going to age well." But anyway, causing a distraction, and in the end, Undertaker's going to pin Stone Cold. Later on, Hart Foundation is going to rush in and attack both wrestlers. Stone Cold's going to knock Bret Hart out of his wheelchair. By the way, Hart's in a wheelchair. I don't think I mentioned that last week. They got Hart in a wheelchair. And he's going to use one of Hart's crutches as a weapon to chase all the members of the Hart Foundation off. Again, you just shown me that Stone Cold Steve Austin can go against The Undertaker for 20 minutes. You can have 4 guys come in, one of them in a wheelchair, so 3. 3 guys come in, beat him up. Then Austin gets up and then chase you out with a crutch. I get we're really trying to push that Austin's a tough guy here, but it makes the Hart Foundation look so weak, in my opinion.
You know what you're doing?
Am I weird for thinking that?
You know what you're doing?
What?
You're adding logic to an illogical situation. I
am. You're absolutely.
They're the cowardly heels that only want to fight Stone Cold when they've got the upper hand. And when it's like the bully, you punch somebody in the back of the head thinking you're going to knock him out. And the guy that you're bullying turns around. So, he's facing me face to face now. I'm out of here. And they take off. That's what happens.
I get it.
What I'm more surprised, and I don't want to get way ahead of ourselves, is that we see Bret Hart and Brian Pillman both enthralled in such a storyline and such a big rivalry. And just to know what happens to both of them later this year is just astounding to me.
Yeah.
I mean, this is May. We're in May at this point. And they are deep into some WWE storylines. And just the way that 1997 ends for both of them is just
it's insane.
Crazy. Yeah.
So we're going to skip ahead here to the go-home edition of the King of the Ring. King of the Ring is going to happen in 1997. I was going to maybe skip this for an episode so we could talk a little bit more about the Paul Bearer and the Nation drama that happens later on. But I kind of want to talk about it now, so it's no big deal. The go-home edition for King of the Ring is going to show a big rivalry between Undertaker and the Nation of Domination really started to take form with him and Farouk. But however, the Go Home edition is going to show Psycho Sid taking on the Undertaker for the WWF champion. And it feels like it's not. It feels like it's too late. Although it's not a bad match, but it only lasts about 5 minutes. 5 minutes. But it's like a 2-star match. It's really bad. But they're trying to do their best to get the Nation of Domination out here to interrupt the match, to build up that finish between Farouk and Undertaker at King of the Ring. So we're gonna get to it right here. King of the Ring 97. Again, we were gonna talk about this at another time, but I call it an audible here because I really want to talk about it now so we can focus more on Canadian Stampede, which is the next pay-per-view that we'll talk about in part 4, which is one of my favorites, and it should be your favorites, one of your favorites too. But King of the Ring 97, do you remember a whole lot about, because we're 1 year away, King of the Ring 97, from, probably one of the most famous Hell in a Cells of all time.
Was this the Hunter Hearst Helmsley King of the Ring?
One more time.
Was this the Hunter Hearst Helmsley King of the Ring?
Yes, this is him and Mankind, their final King of the Ring finale. Yeah,
I remember Triple H winning because I remember that it was the Ode to Joy that he would come to the ring with. That was really cool. That's all I remember from this show.
So I don't know how much you remember because Stone Cold Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels are going to have a match here, and it's going to end in a double disqualification at 22 minutes. And the match is fantastic. And it just goes to show how great that WrestleMania match is going to be at WrestleMania 14. So without even knowing it, WWF is really planning out their rivalries here. Really, and they don't know it, obviously, like I just said. But they're really seeing who has chemistry and who doesn't. And it's safe to say that Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold have fantastic chemistry, which is fantastic. Of course, yes, as you said earlier, Hunter Hearst Helmsley is going to defeat Mankind to win the King of the Ring, and that's a fantastic match in 19 minutes and 26 seconds. But your main event, The Undertaker, who begrudgingly is going to be with Paul Bearer. because, and we're going to talk about this later on, why he's with Paul Bearer, but he's going to defeat Farouk with Savio Vega, D'Lo Brown, Crush, and Clarence Manson. 13 minutes.
Clarence Mason.
Excuse me.
Yeah, you're good.
Not Charles Manson. Clarence
Yeah,
Mason.
not Clarence. He's not a relative of Charles.
Yeah, right. 13 minutes, 44 seconds. Not a great match, but it's still really fun. Undertaker is still your champion. Now, what I mentioned a while ago about why Paul Bearer is with Undertaker. That's because, ladies and gentlemen, Paul Bearer has himself a little bit of a secret. And we're going to talk about that with the final moments of our episode tonight. But Paul Bearer has a secret about The Undertaker. And he says, if you don't forgive me, Taker, and you don't let me come back to you, I will tell everybody your big secret, Taker. And Undertaker, for the
it's a really
good
Paul Bearer impression. That was really good.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I practiced it all day waiting for this episode. But no, Undertaker, it's the first time in a long time that you've seen fear in the Undertaker's eyes, that he doesn't want people to know this secret. So he goes with Paul Bearer. And he lets Paul Bearer be his manager again. A little bit on that later on. But first, we're going to talk about the Nation of Domination and about how on the June 16th Raw, Farouk says that he's going to get a bigger and a blacker Nation of Domination. And that means firing all the white people. He fires. Yeah.
I mean,
he fires. No, well, not everyone's white, but you know what I'm saying. He fires Crush. He fires Mr. Puerto Rico, Savio Vega. He fires Mr. Clarence Mason. Fires. That was a great. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, really, Joe popping in. Joe Dabba popping in.
Joe. Appreciate it, Joe.
Loving your impression. Also, I wanted to mention real quick. Andre shouted out that he thought Austin versus Shawn was the second match of the year that year, but I didn't want to backtrack too far.
Yeah. I agree, and we talked about that in the one of our other. I think one or the first or second part where we talked about WrestleMania 13.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about, June 16th. We're in Lake Placid, New York, which Lake Placid, I always think of the Alligator movie. I don't know if you remember that. I want to talk a little bit here. Let's give an update here. So Taker's your champion. Owen Hart is your Intercontinental Champion. Your European champions, David Boy Smith, and your World Tag Team Champions are vacated as of today, June 16th, 97.
Why are they? So hold on. First of all, why are they vacated? Second of all, I wanted to go back to know what happened after Farouk fired everybody else in the nation.
Well, yeah, it's all on this episode. It's all on this episode.
Yep. All right.
So Vince is going to call Owen and Davey Boy greedy for gold since they already have the European title and the Intercontinental Champion, but they're doing a WWF Tag Team Championship Tournament quarterfinals. And the reason that the Tag Team Champions are actually, the reason that they're actually vacated is because at the pay-per-view, or not at the pay-per-view, I think it's at the last Raw here. So Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold became your tag team champions, and they can't get along, so they vacated.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Austin and that's right. I remember that.
Remember?
I just can't believe it. I just can't believe they would just vacate them and say, you know what, we're going to make you defend the title on every show until you lose the titles. Like, that's whatever. Again, lazy booking.
Well, and you're also adding what?
Logic to an illogical situation.
Got him. But yes, Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold are going to defeat Owen Hart and Davey Boy Smith to become your tag team champions. Then they're going to argue about it and just vacate them. So now they're doing a tag team tournament, which is great. So we're going to get a big promo here with Farouk. He's going to bring out, so here's the thing. They've done this big rivalry on Ahmed Johnson, and he's been going after the nation for years. They've been going off, and anyway, so he fires Crush Mason and Savio Vega, and he only keeps D'Lo Brown. This leads to the induction of Kama Mustafa, who was, of course, Papa Shango and then becomes Godfather later on. And he brings in Ahmed Johnson to the group after Johnson turns on the WWF champion Undertaker during a tag team match against Farouk and Karma, and that was Raw June 16th. Yeah, I don't understand why. Why do you bring in Ahmed Johnson if you've been going after Ahmed Johnson this whole time?
This was Vince's lazy way to put all the black guys on the roster in a stable. That's all it was.
I get that. I get that.
That's all it was.
Coming out of the Nation of Domination, you're going to get two other factions, which is Savio Vega's faction.
Los Boricuas.
Thank you. And you're also going to get Crush's faction, which is the Disciples of
Apocalypse. Yep, Disciples of Apocalypse.
I always
the DOA.
I always know it's DOA. I always want to say Disciples of Aggression, but it's Apocalypse. Yeah. Fun stuff, though. I mean, fun stuff. I love it. We're going to get to the final topic of our time machine today, because of course we're running long, because I love to talk about this kind of stuff. We're going to jump to the June 30th Raw. This is the Go Home edition of Canadian Stampede. We're going to talk more about this episode on our next show where we talk about Canadian Stampede, but I want to skip ahead to the big promo between Paul Bearer and Vince McMahon. So Vince McMahon is going to call Paul Bearer out to the ring. It gets so I don't know how much I can really talk about this promo, because a lot of it, I mean, it's pretty
graphic.
It's pretty inappropriate, man. So backstage, Taker is going to tell his Creature of the Night to let him tell his side of the story before they make a decision on how to judge him after Paul Bearer reveals the big secret to the world. But on the second hour, Vince is going to bring out Paul Bearer. And I want to say a Creature of the Night, a fan jumps over the barricade and tries to pull Bearer down to the floor.
I saw this video a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, security gets her out of there. Anyway, Paul Bearer is going to tell a story how Undertaker set his house on fire and killed his own parents. Now, Taker's mother and father had a funeral home that Paul Bearer worked at, and Taker was the bad kid, and then there was a sweet, innocent kid named Kane who was with the Undertaker. They were brothers. They were always playing, and one day Undertaker wanted to play with matches, and Kane didn't want to, but they were playing with matches, and they set the entire funeral home on fire, killing his parents. And Paul Bearer is going to come and see the funeral home on fire. And nevertheless, Paul Bearer is going to call Undertaker a murderer, and the thunder's going to roll, and the lights are going to be able to go out, but nobody comes out. But here he comes. He's going to be coming shortly. But Paul Bearer cuts this very good promo about how Kane is alive. Taker. No, he didn't say Kane's alive, but he tells a secret about he murdered his brother, and he murdered his mother and father, and he's a murderer. He's a terrible person. And how could you do this, Undertaker? How could you let us all down, Undertaker? You're creatures of the night, Taker. Just completely destroys the character of the Undertaker. Now, why is this important? It's going to get to the point where it's going to culminate to probably, like you've just said, one of the greatest debuts, if not the greatest debut in WWF history, and that is the debut of Kane. And we're going to talk about Kane a lot in our next part, guys. We're going to stop it here. Thank you guys so much for getting us with this time machine. We're going to talk a lot about Canadian Stampede. Next part 4, we're going to talk about Canadian Stampede. We're going to talk a little bit more about this particular episode as well. But we'll talk about Canadian Stampede. And guys, we're going to get there. We're going to talk about SummerSlam 97.
Yeah, and that's my first ever pay-per-view that my mom ever bought for me to watch live. And I should mention, it should be mentioned that it's funny that they use the name Kane, because Kane, of the Undertaker's first ever debut match, they called him Kane the Undertaker. And eventually, when he would go and debut on TV, they would drop Kane and he would just be the Undertaker. So nice little callback to making it work and still getting to use the name. But as PJ said, we've got one more little part of the show to go to. So we're gonna speed up here. But first, we've got to talk about our second sponsor, and that is One Stop Repairs. Established in 2008, One Stop Repairs in North Charleston, South Carolina, is your one-stop shop for all your electronic repair needs. Specializing in cell phones, tablets, computers, laptops, and game consoles, One Stop Repairs offers reputable and quality service with the quickest turnaround time and the most competitive prices in the Low Country. You can find them on Google with an exceptional 4.9 star rating or on Facebook by searching for One Stop Repairs. Call Zach for a quote today at 843-343-6310. That's the number one, One Stop Repairs. And let's get into our curtain call. It's that time. G1 Climax is just chugging along here. And PJ's got us an update. And as I sort of teased last week, I'm going to give you my predictions on the G1 Climax that I have not witnessed one match from, but I'm going to give you my predictions anyway. PJ, want to give us an update on the 2023 New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Climax?
Excellent. So this was just the last result that take place. We actually have I don't have the time to tell you guys the matches for the match card for what's today, Monday, for Tuesday morning. I'd have to pull it up, but this is the last this is the last
plate of the group stage.
Yeah. So David Finlay defeated Hanare, which I guess they're dropping the Aaron, which I didn't realize that, but they're probably dropping the Aaron.
Vince has got to have some influence on that.
Yeah, right. Toru Yano is going to do an upset, and he's going to take out Jeff Cobb and ruin Jeff Cobb's perfect record. I couldn't believe it. Man, you talk about an upset.
I love Toru Yano. I love Jeff Cobb. If there's one guy that's going to knock him off, let it be Toru Yano.
Oh,
that's yeah.
Listen to you. Eddie Kingston's going to defeat Mikey Nicholas here. Tetsuya Naito is going to defeat Alex Coughlin. Evil is going to defeat Ishii. Man, they are really pushing Evil, man. I like him, but good gosh. TMDK are going to go at it right here with Zack Sabre Jr. Defeating Shane Haste. Tama Tonga is going to defeat Shingo Takagi. Tama Tonga and Shingo Takagi went to a 20-minute draw, which is fantastic. That was a great match. And then Hiroshi Tanahashi is going to defeat Hiroki Goto. That was a fantastic match. Very emotional. Went to the wire, and you get two guys who have done this for a long time, really in the ring together. It's amazing to see. I love Japanese wrestling so much. All right, here's the current standings. So Block A. Rapid fire here. Sonata with 10 points. Kaito with 6 points. Shota Umino with 6 points. Gabe Kidd with 5 points. Chase Owens with 4 points. Hikuleo with 4 points. Yoda Tsuji with 3 points. Yoda Tsuji with 3 points. Rin Narita with 2 points. Block B. Will Ospreay with 8 points. Which Will Ospreay defeated Okada the other week to earn those 8 points. That's amazing. Great match. Ospreay with 8 points. Okada with 8 points. Taichi with 6 points. Kenta with 4 points. Yoshihashi with 4 points. Tonga Loa with 4 points. El Phantasma with 4 points. Great Khan with 2 points. Block C. David Finlay still on top. Leader of the Bullet Club with 8 points. Evil, leader of the Darkness Club with 8 points. Tama Tonga 7 points with that tie. Eddie Kingston with 6 points, Shingo Takagi with 5 points from the tie, Mikey Nichols with 2 points, Hanare with 2, and Tomohiro Ishii with 2. Let's get to Block D. Jeff Cobb with 8 points, tying up with Zack Sabre Jr. with 8, Tetsuya Naito with 6, Hiroshi Tanahashi with 6 points, Hiroki Goto with 4 points, Shane Hayes with 4 points, Alex Coughlin with 2 points, and Toru Yano with 2 points. So, guys, we don't have anyone here with 0 points, which is a really successful G1. I mean, you don't want anyone kind of laying behind. I mean, you've got some guys who really can't get up there at this point in the event, but it's still super fun. And I've had a great time watching this G1.
Yeah, listen, I told you last week I gave you my thoughts and my predictions, so here they are. I've got Sonata going undefeated right now, winning Block A. I've got Will Ospreay taking Block B. I've got Tama Tonga coming from behind. I think he's going to take Block C. And then I've got Jeff Cobb taking Block D, which sets up a match between Sonata and Will Ospreay. I've got Will Ospreay taking that match. And then Tama Tonga taking on Jeff Cobb. And I think Jeff Cobb gets the win despite being upset by Toru Yano. And as probably an upset of the tournament, I've got Jeff Cobb knocking off Will Ospreay to win the G1 Climax tournament in 2023.
So you think it'll be Jeff Cobb and Sonata at Wrestle Kingdom?
I think so. I would love to see it. I mean, listen.
I'm with it.
The most obvious choice is Will Ospreay.
Mhm.
Like you would have to think, even if Sonata beats Will Ospreay and Sonata goes on to win the G1 Climax, you would think that he would say, if he gets to choose his opponent, he's like, you know what, Ospreay pushed him out of limit. I want to give him another shot.
Yeah.
But my prediction, at least my desired prediction, goes to Jeff Cobb winning this year's G1 Climax.
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't hate that. He's fantastic. He really, really is. While I got it up, I will tell you guys August 1st, that is tomorrow morning, starting at 6 a.m. Eastern time. It was Hikuleo versus Kaito, Yoshihashi versus Great Okan, Ren Narita versus Chase Owens, Taichi versus El Fantasmo, Okada versus Kenta. Great match. Shota Umino versus Yota Tsuji, Tonga Loa versus Will Ospreay, and Sonata versus Gabe Kidd. That is your match card for August 1st, tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Eastern time, which is great.
Yeah, or if you're not watching it live, you can go back and watch it on New Japan New Japan World, which is another free plug because God knows I don't get paid by New Japan to push their programming, but it's affordable. If you're paying for Peacock, if you're paying the outrageous prices for Netflix these days, and you're a wrestling fan, you can afford to go.
I agree.
And sign up for New Japan Pro. PJ, we're up against it, man. Thank you for everything that you brought to the table today. Some real fun discussion around 1997 WWF regarding the setup, the build for The Undertaker and what's coming with him.
Yeah, really excited. Really excited. We got the next thing we're going to be talking about, guys, is of course I mentioned earlier Canadian Stampede. We'll talk about, which is one of my favorite pay-per-views. Took place July 6, 1997 in Calgary. We're going to talk about SummerSlam, which will take up most of the episode, I think. We're going to talk about Undertaker and Bret Hart with Shawn Michaels as your referee. That's really going to push into the big rivalry between Michaels and Taker going into the very first Hell in a Cell, but more importantly, it'll just add another little match into the rivalry of Hart and Michaels, which will take place a big time Survivor Series 97. So guys are really getting into I said this last time, but we're getting into the major important issues and parts of 1997 WWF. And I'm very happy to be sharing it with Frick, and I'm very happy to be sharing it with you guys. So thank you guys for joining us, man. It really, really is fun.
Well, I'm looking forward to that next week. Later on this week, make sure you go catch me and Michael Davis on the Cat Cave. You can find it on the Keep Pounding Podcast Network, powered by the Fans vs. Sports Network. Make sure you go and follow the Keep Pounding Podcast Network wherever it is that you get your podcast, or by looking at the video or viewing the video on the YouTube channel for the Tobacco Road Sports Radio, where you can find this episode of Tap House and Touchdowns and all Tap House and Touchdowns episode weekly. And then later on this week, we've got a full-on live football show with Baker. Bill and I are going to be talking fantasy football coming up this season, and a lot of NFL news, injuries, some off-season storylines about guys that haven't been signed or guys that are going to be signed, and more tumultuous situations with NFL running backs. So make sure you stay tuned later this week for that as well. But we are way past time, so I appreciate everybody staying late with us this week. For PJ, Steven, it's your guy, Bully Ryan. We'll see you next time right here on Tap House and Touchdowns.